Hello, ESL 132 students. This is your midweek for March 30th video. I'll make you another video next week during your spring break, but this one we're just going to go over a little bit of the last part of that chapter that we were talking about, global challenges. There's a bit of grammar in there, so let's go over the grammar first and then we'll talk a little bit about what's in that chapter. So, adjective clauses. A clause is a subject and a verb. A clause can be a good sentence called independent clause, but it can be a fragment too, if it's not a complete idea. So we're dealing with fragments. We're dependent clauses, adjective clauses. They will act as an adjective describing something or some things in your main idea. No commas, because you're going to need these to identify something. These can be called restricted, essential, identifying. Every English book has a different way to describe these things, but you'll need this to describe what you're talking about in the sentence. And I just have a couple of examples up here that we'll go over first. So if I said one TV program is how the universe works, you'll say one TV program is, okay, what's your real idea? Well, one program that is very educational. So this is describing program, it's acting like an adjective, it's in the middle of your sentence. Notice you have a subject, you have a verb, you also have a subject, and you have a verb here in your main idea. Here with no comma, you can also put which, if you want to. Which. Okay, that which, there we have two in English. So this one you can use over here. Now, if you're talking about people, here's an example where you have to have that restricted clause there. A person is my mother. That's pretty obvious. So a person who I really admire is my mother. Now over here, this is the clause, the adjective clause. You have a subject, you have a verb, and this is where you could actually say whom. People always ask me, when can I use whom? Well, here it's like an object, so you could actually say a person whom I really admire is my mother. Now, even if it's plural, you'll still use the same who, right, or whom. So the people are my parents, okay? The people who or whom I really admire are my parents. So this is a little bit of the grammar that's in the back of the book. We did go over The Snow Guardian. I hope you enjoyed that little movie, if you were able to watch that movie about him. Then we went over 8 steps for a sustainable future. And we had a lot of flags. We had China, the United States, Brazil, Canada, Germany, and how they're using sustainable. So there were 8 different sections in your essay about sustainable ways to conserve energy. So we have energy in the future. I also wanted to get you interested in the next chapter, and this is about medical innovations, and it's chapter 8. It's actually your optional chapter because next week is spring break, but I think when I tell you a little bit about it, you'll want to read this. Medical innovations, it starts with a really interesting article that goes back to 1005, and it's really the first, not the first surgeon, but a person who was very, very influential. And his name was al-Sarawi. He wrote in Arabic. His works were translated into Latin later, but he was really a first person to do a lot of surgical instrument experimentation. So when you read this article, it starts off with the childbirth and explaining a little bit about how he helped the woman have the baby. Because she was very fearful at first, but he had developed some instruments for that procedure. And his works are still used, by the way, in medical schools because he's been so influential throughout all the history. Then we also have an article about growing kidneys. So you know that many people need organs, hearts and livers and kidneys. So this is a way to make an artificial kidney. That's one of the articles. I'll make another video sometime next week during your spring break. So until then, have a wonderful day and a safe week, and I'll talk to you soon.